All right, so while I'm out at the regional cross country meet today, tomorrow, we're going to be looking at some vocabulary and that kind of thing. Okay, for starters, if you do not know where to put this, we're doing it in your eBinder. Okay, to find that, if you have problems, go to your Google Drive. In that Google Drive at the top, where you've got the search bar and you can type things into search, on the right-hand side of that search bar, you can filter, and it will give you the option to filter by type. Click type, pops up with a drop down, and click sites from there, and then search, and it will show just the Google sites that you have. You want the one that is a copy of or has your name in front of it. You don't want the copy that I gave you. You want your copy because you can't edit the copy that I shared with you. Okay, so once you get that pulled up, go over to Unit 5, and we're going to look at some vocabulary before we start this new unit. So, the first word is direct variation. First word is direct variation. That's a linear relationship between two variables, an x and a y, that always has a constant, unchanged ratio, k, and can be represented by y equals kx. Okay, this formula right here is on your formula chart. Some of you asked me about it the other day because it's up there with the slope formulas. That's because it is the exact same formula. It just does not have a y-intercept out here. K and M are the exact same thing. K and M both represent this ratio that we're talking about, the ratio of your x to your y. Okay, the ratio of your change in your y and your change in your x. And that's what that ratio represents. That's what K and M both represent also. So direct variation is just another word for slope. The only difference is on a direct variation, it has to go through your origin because there is no y-intercept. Okay, the second word is a function. Function is a relation in which each element of the input, x, is paired with exactly one element of the output, or y. So a function is a relation where one x is paired with one y. Your x and your y, there is one x and one y. Okay? And x value is only paired with a y value. You can't have multiple y value or multiple x's with the y. It's one x with a y value. And we will look at those. Those functions are the easiest thing we will learn all year. Determine if something they function or not. It's a very simple question. We'll look at how to solve that in a little while. Okay, then we get to some money stuff. This is a word that has been in the news as of late. It's inflation. Inflation is the general increase in price and decrease in the purchasing value of money. Inflation is why your parents may tell you that when they were little, gas was $1 and now gas is $3. Okay, that's inflation. Things just go up gradually over time in price. It's just a fact of the matter. But that increase, that gradual and general increase, is known as inflation. Okay, the next word is linear relationship. That should not be a new term. A relationship with a constant rate of change or a constant slope. We know rate of change and slope are the same thing. It's represented by a graph that forms a straight line. A linear relationship is going to be anything that's got a straight line. If it's a straight line, it is a linear relationship. Okay, if I start going too fast, you can pause it and write the terms down and then play your video. The next word is a mapping. Mapping is the process of pairing input and output in a function. Mappings are usually demonstrated by a diagram consisting of two lists, usually in ovals, with arrows associating items from the first list and the items in the second list. Okay, mappings deal with functions. We will look at what a mapping looks like later. Mappings are arrows and ovals. Arrows, ovals, and numbers make a mapping, and those are ways to represent a function. We'll look at those here in a while. Okay, next is the principal of an investment. That's the original amount invested. Okay, money is something we won't get into a ton with this unit, but we will see it some. But the principal is the original amount that is invested. Okay, here we've got a nice review word. Okay, again, like we did last time, these fractions may be a little difficult to put in your eBinder, but just do your best. Do like rise, slash, run, things like that, just so that you know what it's supposed to be. But slope is the steepness of a line, the rate of change in y compared to the change in x. Rise of a run, the change in the y's over the change in the x, your y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Any of those options give you your slope. It is denoted as m in the y equals mx plus b formula. Okay, again, that should be a word we are very familiar with. Next is a unit rate. That's a ratio between two different units where one of the terms is 1. Okay, a unit rate is things like miles per gallon. That's how many miles you can go on 1 gallon of gas. That is a unit rate. Dollars per cookie. Okay, that would be how many dollars it takes to buy one cookie. Anything like that that has the word per in it. Okay, per is a key word in math, tells us lots of things. Per, it gives you your slope, and that slope, that unit rate, is always going to be your slope. It's when it equals 1. When one of the terms is equal to 1, that's a unit rate. Okay, and the last word is another one we should be very familiar with, and that is the y-intercept. Y-intercept is the y-coordinate of a point at which the relationship crosses the y-axis, meaning the x-coordinate is equal to 0. It's denoted as the b in y equals mx plus b, and the ordered pair 0, b. This ordered pair right here, it's wherever your x equals 0, whatever the y is, that is your y-intercept. So that's why this b is your y-intercept right there. It's where your x coordinate equals 0. We know that x equals 0 all along that y-axis, anywhere on that y-axis. So then where x equals 0 is where your line would cross your y-axis. Okay, that should do it for the vocabulary. We will look more in depth at a little bit of these in just a few minutes at these words. Go ahead and get your journals out and we'll begin looking at that.